Good morning. Welcome back to the Sisu household. Too bad we don't have coffee.
Or much content this week.
Yeah, well, okay, well, this is our content this week.
Yeah. No cute videos of Rue.
'Cause there wasn't a lot of cuteness this week.
No coffee, because the coffee here in the hospital sucks. It's so bad, just like the food.
Just excuse all the beeping that you're gonna hear. We're still in the PICU.
Yep.
So
Rue's got all these wires hooked up to her. She's got IV of sodium. They're monitoring
maybe
her.
3% sodium.
Uh-huh.
We've got food, we've got heart rate and breathing rates. We've got all kinds of things.
Yeah. So we just wanted to walk you through our week, because it's been a hellish week. And it's been terrifying and sad, and we're at the other end of it now, and things are looking better, but we'll take you through the week. So, where do we start, Mom?
Sunday night, Rue aspirated and needed oxygen, so her and I hopped in an ambulance and headed to the ER.
Yes.
We weren't in the ER very long. She seemed okay.
Yeah, you were home in 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was nice. So that was good. Not good that it happened, but like I felt like, oh, that's a lot better than the usual ER trip. Felt pretty confident. Rue was doing okay, but she had also had that. She also had that.
All right. This is what we're. Okay, there's no chance you happen to have a third of a teaspoon, right?
Maybe at home?
Maybe at home.
Sorry for the interruption. Obviously, we're still in the PICU, and this is our nurse.
Sorry.
No, you're
You're
okay.
good.
You're up. Because what they wanted was a half a teaspoon, 8 hours, every 8 hours, which I can't really do because we only make 6 hours.
Yep.
So we're gonna figure out how to measure out a third.
I swear you guys should call down to the kitchen.
I know they have 3 people working currently in the whole hospital because I said the exact same thing.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I'm gonna get a little tiny little bit in there right now, 0.4 ml. And then we're gonna figure out the third situation.
Oh no, I got your eye.
So then we head into what?
So you came back from the hospital.
Yep. Put
Right.
her to bed.
We put her to bed. We thought things were going to be good. Our friend who's been there through this whole journey came over as Melanie is her personal
Nail salon.
Yes.
We have
Ugh.
no good feelings about clipping this child's nails
No.
because no. If I
Because
were
she's
to
wiggles.
accidentally
Okay.
prick her, it
It's
would
because
be
of the diencephalic syndrome.
yeah.
Her hands are always moving.
Mhm.
It's a rough situation.
So we are thinking she's going to bed, and our friend's like, hey, something feels a little off. Her temperature was high, rushed her to the hospital, and things got really bad very quickly.
Yeah.
And like,
It's actually a blur, like the chain of events. That
well, the
happened.
only thing that I remember, right, is the one thing that sticks out for me is like we communicated to our daughter's other mother that like we were in the hospital, we were headed to the PICU, and that things weren't looking good, and like ultimately we're communicating that because we would have our daughter Emmy this weekend. No joke. The person asks us for money while our daughter's in the hospital.
Oh, that situation. Oh.
And
oh.
she was angry that
man.
Giles responded with like,
That's not
maybe this
considerate.
isn't a good time to ask for money considering my child's in the hospital. And her response was, you could have just said no. And she's right. She could have also kept her mouth shut. And so like, we were in the hospital, headed to the PICU. We're getting text messages from our daughter's other mom who is being inconsiderate, narcissistic, acting like she's a victim. And so we're having to deal with that.
And then
SSI called us for our appeal and said that SSI does not force people to make decisions about finances in terms of like, they told us that we would not be able to get SSI because Giles has an asset. The asset is not his. His ex-wife took it and has controlled it and taken all the money from it and is trying to sell it. So we have not been able to make any money off of this asset in 2 years. And we tried to explain that, and they didn't care. And so Giles' response was, okay, well, my partner, who has no assets besides a vehicle, is going to move out of my home and will have to apply for Social Security on their own. And he handed me the phone. This woman, no joke, said, I don't care what your situation is. SSI has laws, and you would be breaking them by leaving him and saying that you weren't getting any money. So I lost my mind.
Like, I don't care how sick your child
Yeah, she's like, I don't care how sick your child is. It doesn't give you the right to try and break the law by going and leaving your boyfriend, because we're not legally married, and like living on your own, because obviously you're just doing it to get money from us. And I was like, okay, yeah, abso-fucking-lutely I am. I'm going to be doing things to make money for my child. And if that means living in a car until I can get the, like, stuff, that's fine. I will. Right? Like,
You had some choice words for her.
I had some individual words that were quite beyond my typical way of speaking to another human being ever. Like, I've never talked to another human being in the ways that I talked to this woman. And she hung up on me, and SSI refuses to answer their phones in general. Like, you can call them and they'll be like, oh, we're too full and too busy, call again in a couple days. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so, like, we're dealing with systemic things that purposefully keep families from receiving financial help. Additionally, we are unable to get on unemployment. We never qualified for the mortgage. Like
postponement.
Postponing, so we've always been paying our mortgage.
I lost my job.
He lost his job. Our car was stolen. Doctors refused to believe me that my daughter needed to be in the PICU, and yet again, I was the crazy mom who, like, doesn't know what she's talking about. But was completely right, and my daughter has 2 grand mal seizures, and they were just like, oh, that's weird. And so that was crappy.
And that was, what was that, Tuesday night?
It was Monday night.
So Monday night. So, like, all of that...
We moved Monday night from the big room to over by the nurse's station because they were so concerned about her, but not concerned enough to call PICU.
Yeah. So, all that crazy, chaotic stuff that wasn't related to Rue was happening. And then that night, her sodium went nuts. And she puked in the middle of the night and asphyxiated on her vomit and was having a seizure at the same time. And so in the middle of the night, it was like super chaotic. We were crying, we were terrified, we had no idea what the heck was going on, and she wasn't breathing right. You were having a medical situation go on at that same time.
Yeah, I ended up in the ER.
While Rue was also in this medically, like, fragile
She was put
state.
on oxygen, she was rushed to the PICU.
She was breathing really messed up.
She could not, like,
vomit.
Yeah, and, you know, her salt is usually typically around 127. It was 169. And then dropped to the 1-teens.
Yeah,
within a matter of, like, maybe 24 hours. I think it was definitely less than that, but I don't want to, like, overstep and say that something's worse than it did. It was within 24 hours. And it was bad. And, like, so imagine having, like, toxic salt levels. You're at risk for seizures. You're at risk for shutdown. Super low. Same thing. At risk for seizures. At risk for all these bad things. You're getting sleepy. I'm sorry. Could you grab her a blankie?
Of course. And we're bringing this to you from our air mattress in the hospital.
Yeah, we are. So, like, the reason that I specifically am a little more animated with, like, frustration is because the thing with our daughter's other mom, she's asked when my daughter's gonna die. She has attempted to take money. She has withheld her sisters from her. She has communicated that
situation.
Rue is not a sister to them. Can you pause for food?
Oh, jeepers.
Yeah, that was quite a bit, sweet girl. And like, we've been dealing with a lot of other things with her. And she's now trying to take our house. She wants more money, and so her...
Oh boy, jeepers.
It's okay, sweet girl. We're right here.
You're very creepy today.
It's okay. You can cry. Oh, my love. Oh, okay.
Believe it or not, this is her normal.
Yeah, this is normal, and that's okay. Like,
We're not super concerned about this.
I'm not concerned about the puking. But, like, so this woman's trying to take our house, knowing that our daughter has cancer. She's marrying my husband's best friend, who she, like... Anyways, there are, like, that's going on, and simultaneously she has completely neglected and abandoned our 15-year-old because our 15-year-old didn't want to live with her, and so she was like, okay, then I'll keep your sibling away from you, and I don't want anything to do with you ever again. Is ultimately, she blocked our daughter, and she has attempted to get her family to write, like, children, to send very manipulative, religious, traumatic things, saying, like, you're not a Christian if you don't see and love your mom. Which, in our realm of Christianity, you don't talk to your abuser. She always has the choice to talk to her and have a relationship with her, and as of now, she is not in that place. We will support whenever if she ever chooses to, because that's someone who was a mother figure to her, and that's an important attachment. Do we believe that this attachment is safe? I think that's where we just leave it up to professionals in our life to make that decision. And, with SSI, that was just...
Like another twist of the knife.
It's just another selfish... Like, systems are selfish. They are not built or structured to truly help people. It's all based around... I think for me, no matter what you make in your lifetime, if you have a child with cancer, you should be allowed to have the $2,000 support. That's just my belief. I don't care if you're a millionaire. I don't know what your situation is with insurance. I don't know if your kids' stuff gets paid for. Like, you should have assistance, because kids with these disabilities and these diseases and these rare conditions, I don't think people realize being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job, and I will always preach that moms who stay home are working full-time jobs. This feels like an overtime job without benefits.
Yeah.
Because
smiles.
the benefit is that she's alive, but everything else is so bad all the time for her.
Well, and it's not just an overtime job for you.
No. I wasn't saying it like that. Like, in general.
Like, you can't be just a stay-at-home mom and take care of Rue by yourself. Rue takes both of us.
Yeah.
Like, I like take time away for like therapy and stuff, but I'm always listening, and at the drop of a hat having to leave everything to come help her, because it's intense sometimes.
Well, because and that's what was awful, was like, if she aspirates on puke, it could be catastrophic. because you can get like
Pneumonia.
and that would be deadly for our daughter. Her system would not be able to handle that well. I think it'd probably be immediate intubation, and a lot of antibiotics. And so, like...
Oh, so all this is going on, right? Terrifying. And once they get Rue, like, stable-ish, Rue's gone.
She's not here.
Like, she's not the same baby. She's not smiling. She's not responding.
I think
she's
we
not
should
waking
insert a
up.
clip here of, like, the back and forth, no...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's not herself.
Was
And-
not herself. She's herself now.
Yeah, and that was probably the most terrifying thing, was like what she went through, but then also like, where's our baby?
Well, like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, when she woke up after, like, 2 days and she wasn't there, our first thought is, like, if it's not her, like, you know, if it's not her, then what do we do? And that's when palliative care was brought up.
That was the day that we had a prayer circle here at the
Hospital, which you
Hospital.
can find that
on Instagram.
on Instagram, and it was, you could tell that we were broken inside.
Fearing the worst, literally.
And like, between everything that we had gone through, and we don't get to see our other daughter Emmy this weekend, and we have barely gotten to see our daughter Tasha, because leaving the PICU is like, you don't do that, really. You don't leave a PICU.
When we're on 11G, which is the Hem-Onc oncology floor, we know all the nurses there. They all know Rue.
It's different.
There's a better working arrangement of leaving the hospital and coming back in and doing what you need to do.
Because she's not critical when she's on the Hem-Onc floor, usually. But here, we didn't know if she was going to slip away. And we wouldn't have blamed her. I just don't think we were ready for that, because everything was... It happened so fast, I think, is what was so scary.
Yeah.
And with all the other stressors we have going on, potentially losing our house, our car totaled, co-parenting with difficulties, and financially not having a lot of capacity after losing a job, and we are more than thankful for the time we have been given. I just was not ready to have to say goodbye yet. Because I had always imagined saying goodbye would look different for her. I always thought it would be, we were stopping chemo, we were going to have someone come in and talk to us about how to keep her comfortable as she passes, which would probably take a couple months.
We would do it at home.
We would do it at home. We would go on road trips with her. We would take her out into the forest. Like, not that we're not going to do that stuff now, but we had imagined something completely different than what we were presented with, which is, we don't know if she's going to wake up. Because it was a higher risk of a medical coma. And so this week has been challenging. I have never yelled at someone, and I yelled at SSI. I don't feel great about it.
Lots of scream crying. The day of the prayer circle, like, myself, my wife, and our 15-year-old Tasha, there were so many tears that we shed. It was just such a terrible, terrible day. It was so painful.
Yeah. And yesterday I went home for the first time, really. And it was the day before yesterday. I walked into Rue's nursery, and I like begged Giles to like not make me get rid of her crib, and like that I wasn't ready, and like no matter what for the rest of our marriage, I was like, you can't make me get rid of this crib. No other baby of ours can lay in this crib. Like, this is the only thing that I felt like I could control, which was keeping something that she slept in.
I would never tell.
No, I know, but
crib.
I was so gone
Yeah.
in my emotions.
Yeah.
And that's the other side of it, is like, parents with kids with cancers also have other things going on.
Yeah.
Because everybody has something going on.
Mhm.
Everybody has trauma. Everybody has things. And our family just happens to be slightly more diverse at the moment with catastrophe after catastrophe. I don't believe it'll always be this way.
But sometimes it feels like
Sometimes
it
it feels like it'll never end. And when you have people who are abusive that you still have to communicate with and deal with, it can, in my experience, bring up a lot of big questions about why. And
will. Oh yeah, the big why questions.
the big why questions.
All of this is like, why the hell would we have this happen to our daughter? One of the most rare cancers
In children.
in children.
And it's
her
super
age.
common in adults, but
Yeah.
in children, it's like not seen ever.
It's like, why would this happen to a little baby?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, we've both gone through waves of like blaming ourselves, but then we're both like looking at each other like, how the hell is this our fault? Like, we didn't do anything that would cause our baby to have the like rarest cancer.
No, and that's another thing. We've had people from your old life say things like, well, this is your punishment from God for leaving
An
your
abusive relationship.
They don't say abusive relationship because they never asked and they don't care.
No, they never saw it as a.
And like a 15-year-old fleeing from their parent doesn't seem to have any impact on their like ability to use common sense. But they'll say things like, oh, well, this is God's punishment. God would never punish a child. How disgusting is that, to think like that a child deserves pain and death, which is
Because
what's
of
been
one parent.
insinuated, because someone left a relationship.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I've been
we
called
don't subscribe to that. Type
no,
of
and I'm
faith.
being called like a prostitute and all these things, and it's like, and our daughter's being told she's not a Christian because she's not seeing her abuser. Like, there's so many things that simultaneously happen in our life that we have never really put out there too much because we have been afraid of her people responding and saying their narrative. But I think where we've gotten to, especially with this week, with after the complete inconsideration of the health of a baby. I don't even care that, like, it's a baby. When she has a baby, we will always be understanding when that baby needs, like, if she needs us to take Emmy, like, that's something we would do, right? Because that's what you do. You show up for your kids in the right ways. But for us, we are in this place where it's like,
It's just tiresome.
it's tiresome, and in order for us to be the transparent and the authentic selves that we are, we have to bring to light our entire experience in some way. We don't want to do it in a slanderous way. We don't want to do it in a pity us way. But in order to understand the fluctuations of our life with Rue, you have to understand the context of everything that's going on.
It's not just one thing, ever.
And it's not like that for any of these other parents that have cancer
No,
with
it's
their
not.
kids, childhood cancer families. Like, it's everyone, like, I've connected with moms and they have similar things going on, but it just looks different because it's their life.
Yep.
We felt so much love, care, and God's presence with us this week.
In the midst of all of this craziness.
And I have never been more thankful for a community. And, you know, we hit 2,000 of you on our Instagram. I would have never thought. We made it when she was first diagnosed for our GoFundMe update, kind of. What you doing there, Rue Bear? You're breaking your machines.
As usual. I'll go check them.
Okay. And God showed up. He must have been holding Rue, and him and Rue must have had a discussion, and she decided to come back to us, even though we told her she could go. I don't think she was ready, because I don't think we've had enough time. I don't think anyone has enough time with their child with cancer.
Okay.
No, she's gonna puke. But we should probably end the video, get Rue down for a nap. If you have any questions, we do look at comments. We try to respond when we can. You're gonna have more updates on Rue's Instagram, but if you could point people to our YouTube, this is the only way that we could potentially start to make money.
And some really cute TikToks that, oh goodness. You're so pukey today, honey. Well, that's our goodbye this week.
We're gonna have to go.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.